What's good, YouTube? How y'all doing tonight? It's your girl Nick, and we're here for House of the Dragon, Season 1, Episode 8, The Lord of the Tides. Can y'all believe we just did Episode 8? Why is this season going by so fast? Is it only 10 episodes, or is it 12? Somebody let me know. So this episode starts off with, we see Rhaenys, and her brother-in-law, Vaemond, talking. They're having a conversation because Corlys was killed in battle. The Triarchy had started a new war, and he went to go fight at the Stepstones, fight them, and he took a wound to the back of the neck or the head, and he perished from it, is what they're saying. So Vaemond and Nisi are talking. Nisi mentions what Corlys actually wanted, who he wanted to be the heir to Driftmark, and Vaemond wants to be the heir to Driftmark. He feels like it should not go, because of course Lena is presumed dead, because they found him in what they thought was him in that fire. So it's like it would pass from Lena to the firstborn guy, because they want to keep it traditional with it being the heir being a man. And Corlys told her I thought Corlys said he wanted it to be Jace. But it said that it's supposed to be Luke. And Vaemond is like, no, I want it to be me. And then we see Daemon, he's cutting open a dragon egg. Apparently he got 3. He goes outside to pass the egg to some man. The man then passes him a scroll. I'm like, what does this scroll say? You know? Then we see a scene where Jace is inside and he's having language lessons. He's being taught High Valyrian. Um um so Daemon enters the room, passes that scroll to Nera. And apparently the scroll saying that they are calling um the kids, the strong boys, paternity or legitimacy into question, right? And next thing you know, we see Daemon and Nera headed to Westeros to the Red Keep to see her father about this. They going there about this scroll. It's been some time since they've been there, and they were looking around and they noticing some changes. Um, Allison, Allie, as I like to call her, she's removed a lot of their statues and stuff like that they had up there, and replaced it with statues of the moon, the stars, and some other stuff. I can't quite put my finger on it. They go inside. They are greeted by somebody else. She doesn't come out to greet them. Neither does her father. I mean, Allie doesn't come out to greet them, and neither does King Viserys. So we see a council meeting in the process, but Viserys is not in the council meeting. So they go on with this meeting. They talking about the Triarchy, what happened with Corlys, and all that kind of stuff like that. Next thing you know, the meeting is over, and Allie is told by a knight that something is up, and it's something urgent with the prince, Prince Aegon, I presume. So then we see Rhaenyra and Daemon enter Viserys' chamber. He's bedridden. He wrapped his whole face wrapped up like a mummy. It's not the whole face, like one side of his face. It's like bandages going around like this, and then kind of like this. So basically, he looking like Aemon. You know how Aemon got the one eye now? He probably has a patch from what we saw in the previews for this episode. So the king eyes like that as well at this point. She talks to her father. Basically, he didn't even recognize her. And she said she wanted to introduce him to somebody. and they introduced two new boys. So it's been enough time has passed that Rhaenyra has had two sons by Daemon. One by the name of Aegon. Aegon. She named one of her sons Aegon, and she also named one of her sons after her father, Viserys. Um, we see he got some like tea on the side of his bed, right? What I presume to be like a nightstand. Damon smells it and is like, what the hell? And that's when we see Allie goes to the room that the knight tells her to go to. It's a young maiden there by the name of Diana. She tells Allie that she was in the room serving Aegon some tea or something. She sat it down on the table like she was supposed to, like she was instructed to. When she did that and turned around, Damon was no longer there. She didn't see him. Next thing you know, he done jumped out of somewhere and he on her. Aegon had sexually assaulted Diana. Um, but the way Allie looks at her as she's recounting what happened, I'm like, what are you thinking, Allison? Allison kind of like victim shame her a little bit. Like, well, it's gonna be your word against his because it was just y'all two in the room, and you didn't told three other people besides me, and I forgot the other two people that she named that she told the story to. Well, you know what happened, and Allie tries to tell her like, don't go telling nobody else because people gonna look at you and they gonna assume that you wanted it because you was in the room alone with him, and you can tell this is a super young girl and very impressionable, so she gonna believe whatever Allie say. Plus, it's the queen, right? So she apologizing and stuff that it happened, and I'm like, you apologizing, but he sexually assaulted you. You didn't sexually assault him, but times were different back then, and then you dealing with the queen and everything like that. So Allie hands her something in a cup from one of the maesters. Must be the same tea that they gave um Rhaenyra when the king gave Rhaenyra when he found out that she went out there and he assumed that she had sex with Daemon. Because Allie tells her, just in case, drink this just in case. We don't want no issues from this. So she gives her the tea to drink and she gives her a bag of coins. Then it's like to me she victim shamed this girl. But then we see her barge into Aegon's room, yelling at him like, "What are you doing? Like, are you really trying to besmirch our names? Like, you want to bring shame upon me, your father, your wife?" I said, "Oh, he married, but he's in the bed alone with shorter hair at this time, naked, pale as ever." And she was basically telling Aegon like, "You the prince of the realm. Like, what are you doing?" And Aegon is like, "I never asked for this. I never asked for any of this life or anything that comes with it. And it don't matter anyway because nothing I do pleases you or the king, my father, or whatever, right?" So then we see Allie enters the room where Daemon and Rhaenyra are already sitting. Daemon and Rhaenyra are already talking about the fact that about the fact that Alicent and her father is running the throne while they keep pumping the king up with poppy tea, basically keeping him drugged all day to the point that he can't get out of bed, think clearly, or do anything or whatever. We can see he is withering away. He's dying. We all know that. Okay? So Allie enters the room. She chats with them. And they confront her about the fact that y'all keeping my father up on his poppy tea. and everything like that, while y'all running amok and doing whatever it is y'all want to do. Y'all can't say the king is making any decisions because he's not in sound mind to make any. It's like he forgetting things. His judgment and his mind is clouded by this tea that y'all giving him. And they basically let her know that they pissed about that, right? So then Allison says something slick back to them or whatever, and she leaves the room. Next thing I know, Nera stands up and she's doing like this, and I realize, oh, she pregnant with another kid. So she pregnant with baby number 3 with Damon. So this is her 6th baby. We see Luke and Jace head out to the yard. Remember, in another episode, not this last episode, but the episode, what was it? The episode number 3 it was or so? Or was it number 4? It was episode number 3 or 4 when Kristen Cole was out there training Aegon and Aemon, but wasn't helping to train Jason Luke. Remember that? Alright, so they in that same yard or whatever. They walking by, they looking at the weapons and everything. And there's 2 knights down there sparring with one another. Next thing you know, we see Aemon walk up, and Aemon starts to spar with Sir Kristen. And Luke and Jake look on, looking at it. And I forgot to mention, as they walking through the yard, all the people staring at Luke and Jace. Then Aemon continues to spar with Chris, and then he kind of like gets the dagger at Chris's neck, showing off. And then he turns and he asks, he said, my nephews are here. Have y'all come to train? And then we see some people come into the yard or whatever. The gates open, and we see a carriage, horse and carriage or whatever, come in. Then we see a scene where it's Allison, Ito, and Vayman. So the person coming in on that carriage, it must have been Vayman with Rhaenys, Baela, and Rhaena came in on that carriage. But right now we see Allison, Ito, and Allison, Ito, and Vayman. They talking about the war and the Stepstones, how Corlys was killed in the war, and who was to become his successor. Vaymond is making a plea to them that he should be the successor. He should be the rightful heir to Driftmark because they want to keep a tradition and they're not putting a girl on it. So they're not gonna take Laena's girls and put them in position. And then they don't want to do Rhaenyra's sons because he also believes they're not true Valyrians. Their hair dark. And he don't want no bastard sitting on the throne of Driftmark or whatever. So then we see that Rhaena and Rhaenyra approach Rhaenys in courtyard or out in the garden. Not the courtyard, the garden. So Rhaenys dismisses Rhaena, and Rhaenyra tells Rhaenys, yeah, you think you slick. You would have me think that you was here to stand with me and plead Luke's case to be the rightful heir to Driftmark. But you here for yourself, and I already know it. You, Vayman, and Allison, and Ito had plans to ambush me and question the legitimacy of the strong boys, Jace, Luke, and Joffrey. Rhaenys was like, listen, well, what happened to my son, though? What happened to Laena? And Rhaenyra was like, listen, I didn't order Laenor's death, and I definitely was not complicit in planning it and putting it together for him to die. Which is basically true because he's not dead. But Rhaenys don't know this. So Rhaenys was like, whatever, you know, and she starts to walk away. And that's when Rhaenyra is like, listen, I'm gonna make you an offer. If you back Luke's claim to be Lord of Driftmark, as Corlys stated he wanted, I'll in turn marry Luke and Jace to Baela and Rhaena. That way, Baela will eventually become queen of the realm by marrying Jace, and Rhaena will rule in Driftmark along with Luke. Niecy was just looking at her like, girl, whatever. Listen, it don't fucking matter at all any freaking way, because the Hightowers got plans, and they're gonna strike a mighty blow against your ass tomorrow, and that strike gonna knock you to your freaking knees. And I'm gonna be just standing there alone because I don't have nothing. I don't have no husband. I don't have no son. So I'm just gonna be standing there. I'm just gonna be a fly on the wall, basically. There's nothing I can say or do. So this is when Rhaenyra goes to her father's chambers and she's talking to him. And she says, you know, Daddy, do you believe the story of the fire and ice to be true? And she was like, you told me that we must swear to protect the realm by standing united against any common foes. But when you named me heir to the throne, you basically divided the throne itself when you did that. She was like, and I thought I wanted it, but now I'm not so sure anymore. With it's such a heavy burden to carry. But if you say this is what you want me to do and you believe that story, then I will do it. I will carry the burden. He called her his only child. And she was like, okay, I'm your only child, but can you please do me this thing? Defend me against Otto and Allison and all who've come against us. Basically, kind of like trying to let him know about what's actually going on with Allison, how Allison and Otto and Allison, Otto, and Vaemond conspired together to bring the question of legitimacy of her kids in front of everybody, in front of the council, when they declare who the Lord of Driftmark is going to be. So next thing you know, we see Viserys laying on his stomach. The Maesters are doing something to his back, I guess, that clean his leprosy sores or whatever they're doing. Otto was standing in. He tells Otto, I want to have a dinner. Since my whole family here, my kids here, my brother here, and my eldest child is here and she's the heir to the throne. I want to have a dinner with just us while they're all in the Red Keep together. Because he already know he don't got long to live. Otto was like, alright, but do you want some more poppy tea? And Viserys is like, no, I don't want it. Take it away. Next thing you know, we see Otto addressing the council, Vaemond, and everybody else that's standing around. He's standing in front of the freaking throne, saying that he the voice of the king. He's acting in the king's absence, and he's here to petition for the succession of Driftmark. And he takes a seat on the freaking throne. I said, that's what you wanted all along, to be on that fucking throne. So then Vaemond begins his petition, and of course, his petition starts with, he bleeds Valyrian. He's from old Valyria. He's the rightful heir to the throne in Driftmark. He should be. His brother was the king of the snakes, or king of the seas, And rightfully so, because he is blood in, blood out Valerian. That he should be the one to take over. And not Rhaenyra's sons, because they not true Valerians. Nyra was like, hold up. Hold up. And she starts to say her piece. And then that's when Ellie interrupts her and says, allow him to make his case, because you're going to have your turn momentarily to state why Luke, should be Lord of Driftmark. So that's when I noticed Luke, Jace, and Aemon, they all kind of like looking at one another, making eyes at one another. I don't know what that's about, but maybe we'll see. Next thing you know, so Vaemon goes on with his speech. Then he finishes up, and they tell Rhaenyra, okay, it's your turn to make your petition. She gets ready to start. She starts to speak, and we hear rumbling, and the door is open. It's Viserys walking. His face is so ate up that he got a mask, a gold mask that goes like this over this side. And I could have sworn I saw inside the mask on his eye, it's a slash through the eye part. I'm like, is that a tribute to? It's not funny. Aiming in his one eye, I'm not sure. So he walks up. He looks at Rhaenyra as he ascends the throne, and he starts to kind of like break down. He's groaning. It's a hard thing for him to get up there, right? He tell Otto, you can get up. I'm going to sit on my throne and hear this today. I'm going to sit here. That's why he want to drink that poppy tea, because he want to be of sound mind, and he don't want anything he says in here to be questioned later on. That's why he didn't drink that daggone tea. So he continues to try to ascend the stairs, but he starts breaking down. He groaning. His crown falls, the mask fall off his face. I'm like, oh God. And then you see how he really look. He got teeth missing and everything. He just looked bad. So he tells the guards and the knights, like, I don't need your help. I can do it. So they stand back, and next thing somebody else come up behind him and try to help him up. It's his brother. Daemon helps him ascend the stairs. He sits down. Daemon puts his crown on his head for him and gives him his mask back. He addresses the crowd. He said, you know what? I'm really confused as to why y'all having this discussion, because it was already decided long ago. Lord Corlys already decided who he wanted to be his successor in Driftmark. And I'm sure that the only person in this room who knows exactly who he decided on that person being was his wife, Rhaenys. So then that's when Rhaenys steps forward, and she was like, Corlys wished Luke to be his successor, and she supports his decision to make Luke the successor. And I'm sitting here befuddled and confused, because I could have sworn that he said Jace when they was having that discussion. But whatever. Then she mentions that she says, and Rhaenyra, she's already decided that she wishes for Luke and Jace to marry their cousins Baela and Rhaena. And she agrees with that decision to marry them. I said, oh my God, they've been growing up as stepsisters and brothers / cousins, and now they're going to get married to one another. This whole keeping the blood pure thing is just so disgusting to me. So anyway, Viserys was like, okay, well, I'm going to go ahead, and he declares that Luke is the Lord of Driftmark at this point. Vaemon steps up, and he was like, oh, hell no, I ain't going for this. I'm the rightful heir, and this boy is a damn bat. He was like, this boy is, and Daemon looks at him like, say it. He said, those boys are bastards, and Rhaenyra's a whore. I said, ooh. Because Because Damon told him, yeah, go ahead, say it. Say what you've been wanting to say. What you really been itching to say. And he said that shit. He said it. I was like, oh my God. Viserys stands up and pull out his dagger. He was like, I'll have your tongue for saying something like that about my daughter and my grandsons. Next thing you know, before anybody else can do anything, we just see and Damon's head rolls onto the floor. Damon then stepped up and beheaded him just that damn fast. I said, oh my God. The king starts groaning real bad again, breathing heavy, and then that's when the knights go and pick him up, carry him off the throne, back to his chambers. Next thing you know, we see the maesters prepping Damon's body so they can ship him back to Driftmark when they all leave, when Rhaenys and all of them leave for Driftmark or whatever, right? They was like, we fixing him up so he could be ready to leave by tomorrow. She was like, all right. So next thing you know, everybody's sitting at the dinner table because remember the king wants dinner with everybody, all his children, his grandchildren, Rhaenys, his cousin, and everything like that. So we see they all sitting at the table and the door is open and we see the knights bringing in Viserys. They carrying him. He in a chair and they carry it because of course I guess they haven't invented a wheelchair where they could just be rolling him instead of having to carry him. But anyway, he comes in. He sits in between Alicent and Rhaenyra. Alicent prays over the food. And then once she does that, that's when Viserys toasts to the marriages of Jace and Luke to the twins, Baela and Rhaena. Next thing you know, Viserys takes off his freaking mask and says, you know what? I want y'all to see me. See your father, your grandsire, your husband, your king. See me as I am. Basically saying I don't have much longer for this world. When he takes that mask off, it's no eye in the socket. It's nothing there. It's just skin. It looks disgusting. He got so many teeth missing. He just looked real bad. And he real pale too. And he asked them all to let go of y'all gripes with one another. Leave all the stuff that happened in the past. And let's move forward united as we should be as a family. Because it pains my heart. And that's probably the stress of all of that. Probably weighed on him and made him degenerate even quicker than than he originally would have. You know what I mean? So he was like, let go of your gripes and all that kind of stuff. So that's when Rhaenyra stands up and she proposes a toast. She toasts Alicent for her loyalty to King Viserys, and she apologizes for everything that she may have done that made Alicent angry and all those things like that. Alicent accepts her apology and toasts back to Rhaenyra saying you know what, you're going to make a fine queen one day. Otto sitting there looking at her like, I know the fuck you didn't. He looking so pissed off right now. Like so disappointed and pissed. Because it's to him, why are you apologizing to her? Like our whole plan is slipping through your fingers right now and you don't even see it. That's the kind of look he giving Alicent. Next thing you know, Aegon rises up and he had already mumbled something to Baela. But he gets up, goes over to her, and make a pass at her once again. Jay stands up because he pissed about it. Jay's about to say something. Jay stands up, but then Aemon stands up as well, right? Jay stands up and he toasted Aegon and Aemon. And he was like, I hope that we were once friends as kids. I'm hoping that we can be friends once again. So next thing you know, I'm guessing she was Aegon's wife. She stands up and she makes an embarrassed toast to Baela and Rhaena about being wives and their husbands ain't gonna be bothered with them until all they're gonna do is go off and do whatever they do and be getting drunk and stuff. They ain't gonna really want no worry out of them as a woman. And then she sits back down, and everybody just look like or whatever. Next thing you know, Viserys was like, "Where's the music?" So they start to play music, and we see. I'm guessing that was Jace over there dancing with. It looked like it was Helena because it was not one of those twins. So next thing you know, Viserys slumps over and he starts groaning again. And the knights hurry up and come and whisk him away, take him to his chambers. Next thing you know, Aemon stands up and he gives the shadiest toast to Luke, Joffrey, and Jace. And he says, "They so strong." He was like, "My nephews, my such strong nephews." As soon as he let the word strong come out, Allison was just like, "No, stop, Amy, don't do this." And I'm like, "Oh, so she really meant it when she accepted Rhaenyra's apology, and she really meant it that they're gonna be cool now, going forward or whatever." That's what it seemed like to me, and that's why she didn't want Jace. Cause remember, King Viserys, like, y'all never gonna speak of it again. Like, you're not supposed to call into question their legitimacy ever again. And next thing you know, Jace gets up and he goes over. He punched Aemon in the face. And when he does that, that's when Aegon grabbed Luke by the back of his head and slams his face into the... he grabbed him by the back of the head, the neck part. Slammed his face into the table. I'm like, damn. And then you see Aemon. They didn't hit or kick Jace down again like he did when they was kids, right? And then you see the knights, they step forward and they grabbing Luke and Jace as if they started this, but Aemon is the one who started it by saying the shit that he was saying or whatever. And then Allison stands up and she was like, "Aemon, why are you doing this? Like, stop." And he was like, "No, I'm just," he continues to be shady. "I'm just trying to toast to my very strong nephews, the strong boys." Next thing you know, Damon steps up to stop it. And Aemon chills out when Aemon steps up. That's when Nera tells her boys, "You know what? Y'all just go ahead, head back to your chambers or whatever." Allison goes up to Rhaenyra and was like, "You know what? I apologize." Rhaenyra is like, "You know what? It don't even matter. It's time for us to get ready to head back to Dragonstone anyway." Allison is like, "But I don't want you to leave. Like, you just got here. We need to spend time. She want to repair their friendship. Ida was again standing off to the side, looking in disgust like Rhaenyra. Allison, you falling for this? Like, this is not part of our plan. That's how he looking at her. Next thing you know, Rhaenyra's like, "All right, I'm gonna do this. I'm gonna make sure the boys and everybody get back to Dragonstone safe and sound, and then I'll return here to the Red Keep on Dragon's Back." So Allison is like, "Okay, cool," or whatever. Next thing you know, we see Damon, old side piece. Remember that prostitute that he used to sleep with? She's standing out on like a balcony looking over towards the castle, and she's being approached by somebody in a black hooded outfit. The person comes up to her and she looks at them and she says, "It was an eventful night inside the castle, wasn't it?" And the person lifts their head. It's a female whisperer. And she's like, "Yeah, it was." Next thing you know, we see Allison into the king's chambers. And she forces him to drink something. I'm guessing it's more poppy tea. That's when he started talking about the song of Fire and Ice. And remember, he was only supposed to tell this story to Rhaenyra, because only the heir to the throne, or the person that's going to sit on the throne, can know about this. But he thinks that he's talking to Rhaenyra, but it's actually Allison. And he tells her, "You know about that song of Fire and Ice? I do believe it's true." And Aegon. And Allison was like, "What are you talking about?" And Aegon what? And that's when he was like, He's the prince. The prince and Aegon's, but he wasn't saying Aegon as in his son. He was saying Aegon the Conqueror. In his dream, Aegon the Conqueror told him that there will be a prince born, and that prince was sent to untie the realms from the cold and the dark, which means to fight the war of the fire and ice or whatever. And next thing you know, Alicent was like, okay, I understand. She leaves the room. The king is left sitting there breathing heavily. He's basically dying in this moment. We see him lift his hands up like he's reaching out for something or someone. We see a tear fall from his face. And he says, my love. And he takes his last breath. And that there ends episode number 8. I did happen to see the previews for next week. And Allison took his last words to mean that he want Aegon to be the king, the rightful heir to the throne. And that is not at all what he was saying. But she don't know that. She don't know that. Because she didn't know what he was talking about this Song of Fire and Ice. So now, the war or the Game of Thrones is about to be played because Viserys is dead. Alicent misunderstood the dream and everything that he was talking about because he thought he was talking to Rhaenyra. So now it's going to be Rhaenyra against Alicent again. And who's going to be the heir to the throne? Because on his deathbed, he said that story about the fire and ice, and he was referring to Aegon the Conqueror, not Aegon his son. And it's crazy, now he got a son named Aegon and a grandson named Aegon. Why? I'm guessing Rhaenyra named her son Aegon after Aegon the Conqueror, and now her little snotty ass brother Aegon. This is about to be off the hook, y'all, so get ready. I hope y'all enjoyed this recap. And get down in the comment section and tell me what y'all thought of my recap, what y'all thought of this week's episode. Has this been the best thing on TV for y'all? If you watch a lot of TV shows, I watch a lot of TV, and this right now is the best thing on TV for me. By far, the best thing. I'm really, really enjoying it. So, I see you guys next Sunday for the next episode. If an episode should come on, I don't think they're going to take a break. I don't think they're going to take a break at all. So I guess I'll see y'all next Sunday. Don't forget to click the like and subscribe buttons on your way in or on your way out. And again, I thank you for even clicking on the video, even if you didn't make it to this part. Thank you.